Okay, you can say goodbye to the starter home. Well, at least as we once knew it. Because as inventory has shrunk, and we're seeing an increase in mortgage interest rates, and the prices have increased, what a first-time home buyer used to envision has and will completely change. We're going to get into that. We're going to get into some of the metrics. We're going to talk a little bit about mortgage interest rate trends, what is happening, what is not happening, and this way you can make the best business decision for you and your family. Make sure that you share this, and for folks that are looking at buying or selling. So we've got some folks that need to subscribe. That tells us that you like what you're hearing. Make sure you keep asking questions. Oh my gosh, we had some great questions. In fact, today, that is why we're talking about what first-time home buyers have changed, what that, why is that changing, and for a lot of sellers that are in that bracket or just above that bracket, what does that mean for you? So let's talk a little bit about what did a first-time home buyer home used to look like. Well, it was something around 1,500 square feet, many times 3 bedrooms, 2 bedrooms, 3 bedrooms, 1 bath-ish. Sometimes had a garage, sometimes had a converted garage to make more living space. And, they lived in it for, let's figure 3-4 years. Then they were able to take that equity, boop, and move up to the next house. Problem is, first-time home buyers now, based on what has been evolving, because listen, first-time home buyers are increasingly pitted against not only other first-time home buyers, but we're starting to see a significant resurgence of institutional investors that are coming in. They're all cash, and many times bidding up homes well over $100,000 over list price, even if the home was priced well, to secure those homes, knowing that our appreciation, because Seattle and the surrounding areas, I use Seattle as a general term, Seattle, Bellevue, Redmond, Kirkland, down south, up north, doesn't matter, that this region is considered one of the top 2 markets throughout the United States. Okay, we've been seeing a limited inventory now for over 5 years. Limited inventory, what does that mean? A healthy market, okay, let's go back to the bucket story. If I have a bucket, and I call this bucket the Northwest MLS, and I put all of the listings, every agent puts their listings in this bucket. Now, if I put a lid on it, I should have in this bucket, I should have 4 to 6 months of inventory to be considered a balanced market, balance between inventory available between buyers and sellers, right? So if we take a look at just that example today, okay, and we talk about, hey, inventory is up 700 homes, okay? Well, we have 3,800 homes available today. Now, I'm only talking about single-family homes, not condos, not manufactured homes, not land, just single-family homes. Okay, if we normally have, if we have today about 3,800 single-family homes, and we normally have 12, 14, 16,000 homes, okay, that gives you a little bit of perspective. Okay, we have a very limited number of homes. Now, you might say, George, that's a lot of homes. No, it's not, because if we go all the way up to the Canadian border, okay, up by Bremerton, right, Canadian border, all the way down to the coast, right, Long Beach or Longview, Cosmopolis and Hoquiam and Aberdeen and all of that, and then parts of Eastern Washington and parts of the peninsula. It's a massive area, 3,200 homes, 3,800 homes. That's peanuts. That's small. It's not enough homes. Not comparatively when we should have 12, 14, 16,000 homes right now, okay? Now, for over the last 5 years, however, we have been struggling with inventory. And in fact, it was considered really good when we had 2 months of inventory. Today we have 7 days of inventory, 11 days of inventory. That's it. 0.4 months of inventory, not even 1 month. And is this, as we get closer, as you know, hopefully our inventory will increase. It is our spring market. We should see an increase in listing inventory coming on. We do every Friday. As we can see, this number right here is bumped up. Here's the thing. We have, the last 5 years, been struggling with inventory. And is this our new norm? It could very well be. Okay, we could, in 2008, 2010, we saw 10 plus months of inventory. Okay, we're at 0.4 months. And will we continue? We've been 5 years with this. Okay, so maybe it is the new norm. This does not help first-time home buyers. First-time home buyers, what their perception was, and as the spring home buying season gets underway, the state of the market has forced them to completely reimagine what their home is going to look like. What is it going to be? Because here's the thing, with prices going up, first-time home buyers that used to look at a home for, well, again, 2, 3, 4, 5 years, are now looking at longer term because they're having to invest so much more. There's a concern about affordability all the way around. Well, okay, so we've always had our cycles. We always will have our cycles. Heck, I remember when I bought my first house. It was a 4-bedroom, 2-bath house, and I paid $42,000 for this house. And my parents were like, oh my gosh, how can you afford that? Prices are crazy. How can kids afford houses these days? I mean, they paid, what, $10,000 for their house? I look at it like some insane amount, right? But it's perspective, it's time. When you look at it, just in the last 2.5 years, we're over 33% over the last 2.5 years of appreciation, okay? Since 2012, I think we're up 115%. I'll have to, double check that number, but I believe it's 115% above where we were at in 2012. Well, if every 7 to 10 years our home values doubled, and even though some people scoff at me and say, oh, no way, dude. When they go back and they look at it, they're like, it's pretty close. It's very close, in fact. And so this would be very close if it was 2012, 10 years, 2022, just mathematically speaking, we're almost, if we're at 112% increase, well, there we go. Now, wages, however, they have been going up. In fact, the average in 2021 was 4.5%, as far as a wage increase. However, here's the challenge, and this is again why we're seeing a starter home becoming, well, a little bit further from the reach of many buyers. And this is why, because if home prices went up anywhere between 14 and 21%, depending on what area you were in, and your wages went up 4.5%, there's a little bit of disparity. And so that's why it's getting a little bit harder to reach for that home. Does that mean you stop? Absolutely not. In fact, it'd be absolutely foolish to stop because there's always an opportunity and you just have to be open. Hence, that's why a starter home is re-envisioned, or a buyer needs to re-envision or to change maybe the initial outlook of what that home is going to be, where it will be geographically, how big it will be, so that you can at least start that process, enter into the game, because it's not going to get cheaper. For those, I think it was Akshay and I, we were having a conversation, and he was like, no, I'm going to hold off because I know the market's going to go down. And I raised my eyebrows and I said, dude, are you watching my videos? Are you watching what's going on here? I mean, holy smokes, in the last 7 days, Friday, we saw big bullets. That's the only reason we see this jump, okay? We've been seeing an average of around 700. We doubled that. We're at 1,400 homes. But we took 1,624 off the market. For those of you that are not a math genius, there were more homes coming off than what came on. So even if you're pouring water into the glass, the person sucking on the straws is drawing it down faster than you're pouring it in. Prices continue to go up. Look, it's supply and demand, guys. It's that simple. Economics 101. Supply and demand. We have a very limited supply. We have 3,800 homes. We should have 16,000 homes, 14,000 homes, 12,000 homes. We're at 3,800. Super low inventory. People are going to push that price. Why? Because it's there. Interest rates. Okay, they've been hedging upwards, as predicted. Let's sidebar really fast on this. In fact, I was having a funny conversation with Dan. And I'm like, dude, did you know the interest rates have not started to come back down. They actually kind of eke back up more, even though with all of the volatility, and even though we have the big investors, moving into bonds and treasuries and mortgage-backed securities. And he's like, I know, that's really strange. Normally, we see mortgage rates improve, meaning that they go down as bonds improve. And that's not happening. That tells us that there's still a lot of uncertainty out there. And so I would still anticipate those rates coming down. So if you haven't locked in, remember you have to have a contract to do so, a mutual acceptance contract between your buyer and a seller, right? Okay. I do anticipate it coming down just a little bit, but it is going to continue to hedgeward upwards. Remember, we said by the end of Q3, which we're getting or Q1, we'd be pretty close to 4.5%. Well, 4.125, 4.25 is par pricing. Understand we're getting pretty darn close to that 4.5% as predicted. Will we see 5% this year? I have a sneaking hunch we are going to be probably bumping right up next to that number. We're already seeing that with non-owner occupied, okay? But that's expected. We got a lot of pullback from Fannie and Freddie and HUD to they have to maintain stability of the mortgage-backed securities. So they have to make sure that those interest rates are for the better borrowers, make sure things work and that they don't default. Okay, now when we get back to first-time home buyers, okay, when we talk about starter homes, that inventory is under probably, I would say, some of the tightest competition. And for those of you that are out there and you are, okay, once upon a time, I actually just got a call yesterday and this morning with not one of my clients, but somebody that I happen to know. They are buying elsewhere in Washington. And the challenge that they're having right now is that they're dealing with a limited service agent, and they did not follow technically what the agreement says, and said, "Oh yeah, you need to back out. The seller's going to cancel this," and they did, and they shouldn't have. And that's the sad part. So the other part that I want to make sure that people understand, make sure that you interview the person that you are working with when you're dealing with what is going to be considered your most valuable asset. You do not need any additional anxiety because somebody is not doing what they're supposed to do, doesn't know the forms. In this circumstance, during the inspection, the seller, said, "No, I don't like what you said. I have a backup offer. I'm just going to cancel the sale." Well, you can't do that. A seller does not have that right to just cancel an agreement. Now, they can refuse to sign, and the buyer can decide if they're going to pursue it, but the seller just can't cancel a sale. That is, the seller has certain options. They can just say, "No, go roll a hoop. I'm not doing anything," or "I'm going to offer you this alternative," or "Yeah, I'll do all of the things that you asked." Okay. However, in that circumstance, the seller said, "Nope, I'm going to cancel it." Why? Because they have a backup offer that's higher. Well, the unfortunate part is the limited service person did not advise that their client very well, and they lost out on that home. And of course, when they found out afterwards, that's not how that case works. Make sure that you are working with a competent professional. Understand, limited service agents or agents that that only negotiate their commission or give you gobs of money back is because that's their only skill set. I shouldn't say their only skill set, but just be very wary. In other words, if you're going in to have open heart surgery, do you really want the person who's doing a discount? I'm going to give you money back to do your open heart surgery. You're okay with that, right? Because I'm not. I want the most competent professional. Hey, listen, if you're going to spend literally hundreds to millions of dollars investing in a home, don't you owe it to you and your family to ensure that you're working with the right person? Keep that in mind as you are choosing that person to work with. That is all I am saying. Make sure you do your homework, especially as a first-time home buyer. Make sure you do that homework and you're working with that best person. Do not become one of those statistics, which, there's nothing we can do, nothing that I can do. I'm not even part of it, and gave them recommendations to go and talk to their agent about, but have to stay out of it, right? It's not my transaction. All right. Let's talk a little bit about where we're going, which is going to be piggybacking on the starter homes. So right now, just because of Friday being a massive list date, we bumped up 700 homes. That is awesome. Not enough, but still awesome. Year over year, we're only about 150 homes above where we were at last year. We're 100 pended sales lower than where we were last year. And you'll notice that these two numbers on this side and on this side, this is month over month for the same, 2021 and 2022, you'll see that these numbers match very close to each other. Down about 1,200 homes. Why? Hey, we just don't have enough inventory. It is brutal out there. When we come over here, we can see month over month, meaning March and March. So our inventory is up just a tad bit. Technically, new on market was 4.1%, which I think was, gosh, I want to say it was like 20 homes or something. It's not very much. We're up on pended sales, which is good year over year, but we're down on solds at 2.4%, almost 5% there, almost 3%. Okay, part of that, or most of that, is because we have horribly limited inventory. People are saying, George, interest rates are going up. There's a lot of fear that's going on. We must be seeing some depreciation of values. People are pulling back. Are we still seeing multiple offers? And I laugh, and I'm like, you got to be kidding me. Yes, we had the story. One home had 40 offers on it. That's pretty extreme. The average 3 to 7 offers, right in there, 3 to 5 offers is what we were seeing. Not quite as crazy of an escalation, but we're still seeing escalations. And that's a given. And in fact, I think the average is 105% right now. I think it's 105% average, depending on the area of list to sales price. Okay, well, that's completely expected, right? Because if you remember from a couple of weeks ago, if your home sells, the sellers pay attention here, if your home sells in the first 7 days, you're going to get between 100 and 107% of list price. Okay, that means it's priced well. If you miss that mark and you go out to 20 days, now you're only going to see 96, maybe 98% of list price. But wait, if you miss that mark and you go out to 40 days, well, now you're only going to look at 92, maybe 93% of list price. Time on market is directly proportional to the sales price. The concessions in the first 7 days that you are working with a buyer means that the buyer is giving concessions to make themselves more attractive. As you hit past that 10-day mark and you're moving on, that reverses. Now the seller's going to have to give concessions. So pricing is super important. Buyers today, oh my gosh, are they smart. So much smarter than historically. I've been practicing, this is sad to say, I've been practicing for 30 years. I've never seen buyers as astute to the market as we are seeing today. That is super awesome because we have much better conversations and how to tactically maneuver and navigate to, how do we become the best offer without sacrificing and jeopardizing that position. That is what a true agent does for you as a collaborative person to work with. They have that market knowledge. Make sure that they do. All right. When we take a look at all of this, when we take a look at what is happening with our inventory, yes, starter homes as we have known them, say goodbye. It's the, what is that? The Miss America wave or the pageant wave? Elbow, elbow, wrist, wrist. Anyway, it's going to change. It will change until we start to see, at least get back to our 2 months of inventory. Is this the norm? Is this going to be the new norm? I have a sneaking hunch for the foreseeable future, as far as inventory levels goes, yes. Even though interest rates are on the way up, yes, because we just do not have enough inventory. We still have a massive pent-up demand. Had a question. People were saying, hey, George, what's the heck's going on with new construction? That's simple, super simple. I should throw this out there. Hey, go talk to Mike Walsh. He's a great builder. He's got great products. He builds an incredible home. Here's the thing. Even he will tell you, cost of wages has gone exceedingly high. We do have a concrete strike that's in place right now, so that's posing, I would say just a wee bit of an issue. Material costs. So if you take a look at, I work with the folks sometimes at Plywood and Supply. They're in Kenmore. We stay in touch. They give me a great report, and we take a baseline of 2,700 square foot home. 6 months ago, that cost of that home was about $15,380. Today, to build that same frame, a 2,700 square foot home is 34,000 and change. Okay, it's over double. Okay, so we're back again to this supply chain issue. So builders, if you think builders are cashing in, you need to rethink this. Their costs of construction, I just told you, just doubled, right? That doesn't include the labor, which has gone up, I believe, 35%. So now we've got a supply chain issue where we have limited inventory, prices have gone crazy up, labor's gone crazy up, and the cost of maintaining that plat and putting the utilities and holding the land and sales costs have not changed. And so you're watching that profit margin shrink. So they're only putting 1 or 2 homes on at a time, taking in lists and targeting that list and whether it's in the MLS or their private list, and then saying who's going to give us the best price. Okay, instead of saying, hey, here we go, we've got 15 homes, we're going to release 5 of them this week, have at it. No, they release 1, 2, and try and get maximum price and continue that escalation, because it costs money to hold the plat, costs money and more money to build the homes. They're watching their returns get slimmer and slimmer. And so they're offering less and less. Not because they want to pinch you for every dollar. Well, I guess in one sense they do, but they're trying to pinch every dollar too, because they're struggling on the backside. And so there's a big issue for these guys to worry about, especially builders that build quality homes. Okay, that they're not doing the 90-day production turnaround, turn and burn, where sometimes you don't get the best quality. The guys who actually care, when I build homes, I actually care. We want to make sure we have the best product out there. It's the goal, right? So with that, if you have any questions, please ask. Make sure you subscribe, hit the bell. Let us know that you like what you hear. For those first-time home buyers, do not give up. For sellers, hey man, you have people that want your home. It's okay to let us in. We will come in literally in droves to see your house. Make sure though that you're pricing it right. Don't be a statistic. Don't be one of the 111 people that did a price reduction, or the 44 that let their listings expire or cancel because, well, you missed the mark. Don't be a statistic. If you have questions, ask. It's free. No strings attached. In the meantime, stay dry because it is really wet outside. And I'll see you guys on the next video. Take care.